So if you're like me, you've probably heard that growing your practice through CPA partnerships is a great way to grow your business, which is true, but it's also really difficult. Like getting a CPA to say yes, that they want to work with you is harder than most financial advisors initially assume it should be, okay? So in a previous video, which is right here, I talked a little bit about how to tee up a meeting with a CPA or any type of accountant for the most success. And in the caption section of that video, a lot of advisors were making the comment that they'd love to see a little bit more about how I actually orchestrate the first meeting once we've teed it up for success. So that's what I'm going to do here is I'm going to talk a little bit about what does that actual first meeting with a COI or a CPA, an accountant, an enrolled agent, etc. look like. If you haven't watched that video, pause this one now, look in the descriptions of this video, go ahead and click on that link. Watch it first, it's less than 10 minutes long. But it's important for you to understand the context of how this meeting got set up before we actually get into what to say in the first meeting with the CPA. Okay, so before I get started, my name is Anthony Anderson, co-founder of Elite Resource Team. Been working with CPAs since 2009, been in the industry since 2001, and in 2014, I co-founded a company called Elite Resource Team, trained over 1,100 financial advisors how to build relationships with CPAs, enrolled agents, tax attorneys, etc. I also have ownership in another company that does consulting work for CPAs, have 2 partners that are accountants, and a tax attorney. So have some unique experience that give me a couple thoughts and some vantage point to share some experience with the community here. So with that said, if you're excited about this video, do me a favor, give it a little thumbs up, and here we go. So the first meeting with the Center of Influence, it's important that, first of all, best practice, don't sell. Like if you are going into this thing as a financial advisor or an insurance agent and you mention a product, a strategy, an investment approach, you've pretty much already thrown yourself in a red ocean of other advisors that all look and sound the same. So do not sell. All of us have been trained to sell with varying degrees of success and effectiveness, but we've been trained to sell. What we haven't been trained to do is really lead a center of influence in an effective way. And that's what we need to do, not only in this first relationship or this first meeting, but actually what we need to do in the relationship with a center of influence across the lifetime of that relationship. We need to lead. Okay, so how do we do that? In the meeting, we are not looking to convince them to say yes. I don't personally care if I get a yes or a no. I care about one thing, and that's diagnosing the situation, like understanding who I'm sitting down with, where they are, where they're trying to go, and what's stopping them from getting there. That's really what I'm looking to understand, and I'll show you how we weave that into conversations here in a moment. When we sit down, if it's in person, get there 10 minutes early. If it's on Zoom, get there 5 minutes early. Just don't be late, right? And then open up with a little bit of genuine conversation, like a little bit of small talk to understand kind of who they are, and not in like a salesy technique way, but just in a genuine way. Do I like this person? Because if we do develop a partnership, we are gonna be spending some time together. So it's important for me to actually enjoy you as a person, okay? So I'm not trying to convince them, I'm not trying to sell, I'm not addicted to a yes, I'm looking to diagnose the situation. I'm gonna open with some genuine small talk, find out a little bit about who they are and what's important to them, and then I'm gonna switch to business. And I'm gonna say something like, you know, I appreciate the opportunity to sit down here together. What I'd like to do is explore whether or not there's a relationship that's potentially worth developing. In order to do that, I want to understand a little bit more about you and your practice, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about me and my business. So tell me, how long ago did you start XYZ firm? So if they own the firm, when did they start it? If they're a partner, when did they become partner? We're starting to just ask a little bit of background. And what we're going to do is we're going to have half a dozen to a dozen questions that we're going to open this conversation up with. It's going to take probably 15 minutes and where we're just diagnosing the situation. So let me just give you a handful of these. If you're already working with us, make sure you look at the meeting number 1 script. Like just take the time to really understand it because it's so effective. You'll see all the questions laid out for you there. Also make sure you role play this with a role play partner in the community. If you're not already in our training, that's fine. What I would suggest is after this video, just take 15 minutes and write down like half a dozen to a dozen questions. I'll give you an example of a couple of them right now. So how long ago did you start the firm or how long have you been a partner? Tell me a little bit about who's your ideal client? Oh, good. And what kind of services are you typically doing? Is it just the tax return, or is there any additional consulting or advice that you're giving for them currently? Interesting. And how are you getting new clients right now? Okay, good. And are you in kind of a growth mode, or are you hitting a bandwidth issue and you're more maintaining your current relationships? Okay. And you said your ideal clients are XYZ niche. What percent of your clients would you say currently meet that kind of criteria or definition? Oh, interesting. Okay. And just out of curiosity, so give me a rough idea. I mean, percentage-wise, how many business owner clients do you have, and how many just straight W-2 employees? Okay. So I probably rattled off half a dozen questions right there, right? What we're really looking for in that discussion is just a little bit more about who they are, right? A little background on them. And then we're trying to understand, do they have the type of clients that I would actually want to work with? It's really important for me to know, do you have the clients that would be worth the time and energy for us to develop a partnership? And then I'm also wondering, like, what kind of services they develop and what that relationship is like, because I'm looking to find out, are they what we would call the go-to person, right? That means before their client makes a major financial decision, are they picking up the phone and calling them, their CPA or their accountant, their attorney? Or are they just doing these things and then they're finding out about them after the fact? Ideally, they have the type of clients we want to work with, and they are the go-to person, meaning their clients look up to them, trust them, respect them, and value their opinion. So as soon as we go through those types of questions, I then want to understand a little bit more about where they're trying to go, right? So that's really where they're at right now. That's what their practice looks like. I'm going to then transition into where are they trying to go. So I'm going to say, so give me an idea. I mean, you've been running this firm, it sounds like, for about 11 years, and good client base, you're doing well. Where do you see this going? Like, what does this look like in 24 months, 36 months from now? So that's getting an idea of what their vision is. And then finally, I want to ask them, okay, so I feel like I understand where you are, where you're trying to go. I mean, what are some of the challenges that are holding you back? Like, what's preventing you from getting from where you are to where you want this thing to go? Now, after every question, I'm going to use silence. I'm not going to let them kind of wiggle out, and I'm not going to continue to just run my mouth talking through questions or giving them potential answers. I'm going to ask a question, and then I'm going to use silence. And at some point, it might be after the first or second question, it might be after the sixth question, but anticipate that they're going to ask something like, wait, Anton, why are you asking me all these questions? And that's actually a good thing, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to wrap their head around this circumstance and figure out why you're asking these questions. They're good questions, but they're also like a little bit exposing questions. And so what you're doing is you're breaking their pattern recognition. And all of us as human beings, we live most of our lives just on pattern recognition, meaning we're going through subconsciously just all of these little patterns that we've come across before. So what we're looking to do, whether it's with a client or with a center of influence, but especially with the center of influence, is we're looking to break their pattern recognition, because we want them to pay attention to who we are, not just put us into a category that they've already made a decision on. So as soon as they ask a question like that, tell me, why are you asking me these questions? We want to say something like, yeah, great question. Yeah, of course. I'm asking because I've decided in my business that it's really important for me to focus on building strategic partnerships. I think that's, really important to offer proactive and holistic planning to clients. It's how they're best served. So it's important for me to understand a little bit about you and your business, which is why I was asking where you see this going in the next 24 to 36 months. And then just silence, okay? So we're giving them a relatively short, vague answer. We're not trying to sell them on anything. And then we're going right back into the question, It might come up a second time. It might come up a third time. If it does, you can say something like, yeah, again, of course, fair question. What I would like to do is just get through a couple more questions to help me really understand a little bit more about you and your business. And then I would be more than happy to answer any question you have about me, my practice, and for us to explore whether or not this even makes sense to look any further or to dig any deeper. So saying something like that, I think, is a really good way to redirect the conversation back into you asking questions, letting them know you're going to answer any questions that they have. redirecting it back into your questions, and then you can always end a sentence like that with fair enough. It's something I've just realized works really well. People like being fair, especially in North America. It's kind of like a value system. So they don't want to be an unfair person. So fair enough? Yeah, of course. Okay, great. So tell me, you told me this is your vision, where you'd like to go. This is where you are currently. Like, what do you see as the biggest challenge in getting there? So as soon as we've gone through all of those questions, this is us pulling information from them. And then what we're going to use is something called a statement of expertise. And I've briefly talked about this in past videos, but it's probably worth a video in and of itself. I'm not going to go into it in depth in this video. If you want me to record a specific video on a statement of expertise and how to utilize one, I'm happy to do that. Just go ahead and chat into the chat box below this video and let me know. If I get enough people that say that would be interesting, I'd be happy to record a separate video on it. But in short, what a statement of expertise is doing is basically saying, I help niche, which happens to be the individual you're sitting down with or, across the screen from. I help niche get to where they happen to be wanting to go by addressing whatever their biggest challenge is, okay? But we're doing it on the spot. So what it feels like to them is that, whoa, they just happen to be sitting down with somebody who serves their exact niche, helps them get to exactly where they're trying to go by addressing whatever their problem is. Like, whoa, it's their lucky day. What they don't realize is that you've done the work ahead of time to understand them as a niche, and you understand how you can help them solve whatever their challenge is to get to wherever they're trying to go. So again, if you're already in our training, like all of this is in the script for you. So just take the time to read that script and understand it. Role play before you get to the statement of expertise, because it's probably the most important 1 or 2 sentences of the entire meeting. Okay, let me give you an example. If I'm sitting down with an enrolled agent and they say, my biggest problem right now is just bandwidth. Like, I'm just so busy. I can't even bring on more clients if I want. And what I would then do is, in my statement of expertise, I would say, so what I typically do is I work with tax professionals, including enrolled agents, and I help them address bandwidth concerns by actually reducing the number of clients that they serve, but simultaneously significantly increasing the revenue per client. So their actual revenue stays the same or goes up, but the number of clients and the workloads goes significantly down. And then it's silence, okay? And that's just one example, right? If that's the bandwidth was the concern, if revenue was a concern, I'd have a different slight variation of the statement of expertise. If hiring staff was the concern, or partner issues was, whatever it is, like, I'm taking the time to understand 4 or 5 of the most common concerns. And then in the statement of expertise, I'm just using the information they've already given me. It's that concern, trying to get to that goal by addressing that problem. That's all it is. And then as soon as I use the statement of expertise, I go silent. And so what do you think happens? As soon as I go silent, I just said, I can help somebody like you get to somewhere where you're trying to go by addressing similar problems to what you have. They're going to say, how do you do that? Right? And that then turns the meeting around. So now all of a sudden I know I've got them, because now I understand exactly where they are, where they're trying to go, what their pain is. I've communicated to them that I can help them, and then I've gone silent, and now they start drawing the information out. So I slow down my communication at this point. I give relatively short answers. Like, I don't throw up all over them and get all excited. And I just give them the opportunity to continue to ask me questions. All right, so you need to make sure you do the prep work. Like, whatever value you bring to whatever niche you're sitting down with, you need to be able to explain it at this point in the meeting. If you're already in our training, we have that scripted out for you. We have the talking tool for you to use. If you're not in our training, you just need to take the time to think about, okay, who's the niche CPA? What is the challenge that they're facing? You got to think of 3 or 4 different challenges. It's revenue, it's bandwidth, it's staffing, it's bad clients, it's not getting new clients. Like, those are 5 easy ones right there. What is the solution to that, and how can you help them with it? And just role play that enough so when you are live in the meeting, you're able to talk about that statement of expertise like it just rolls off your tongue. Okay? So that's the purpose of meeting number one, not to sell, diagnose, understand, do they have the clients? Are they the type of person that you'd want to work with, right? Are they the go-to professional? Have they had the aha moment? Meaning, are they just sitting there going, oh, I'm a CPA, I've got it all figured out. I have 1,000 clients and okay, cool. You've got it all figured out, then there's no point of us talking next, right? Most are starting to realize they don't have it all figured out. The industry is shifting. So they have had the aha moment, which means I do need to change my practice. Like I need to evolve. I just don't know how. So that is the exact type of CPA I would love to sit down with 5 days a week because we can bring tremendous value to them. Okay, so I hope the video was helpful. If it was, please do give it a thumbs up. Really love seeing the feedback. Also, leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought of the video, what you found helpful. If you would like a future video on the statement of expertise, let me know below. And if you have any other future questions, feel free to go ahead and type those in the chat box too. If you'd be interested in understanding how we could help you actually develop through our full scripts, our role playing, our coaching, a higher comfort and confidence in meeting with centers of influence, we would be happy to sit down with you and talk to you a little bit about what that would look like. I'll be sure to include a link to our calendar in the description below. Look forward to hopefully connecting with you. Hope you enjoyed the video, and that's it for